Never, ever, ever say it yourself. And somebody please get a hold of Sean Hannity and tell him we are not a democracy. He says it every night. Okay?
That's true.
A democracy is a suicidal form of government. It will always implode. It will always self-destruct. It is a tyranny of the majority. And Benjamin Franklin is alleged to have said that a democracy is like two wolves and a lamb deciding what's for dinner. Okay? A republic protects the minority. A republic gives everyone a voice. We are a republic, but in California, we are becoming and have almost totally become a democracy, and that's very bad, okay? This is the goal. How do they accomplish it? Why do they want to? Because it gives them control of the most populous state in the country. And who do I mean by them? I'm not talking about the Democrats or the Republicans. It's not a political party. It's people with a particular ideology known as progressivism, and they are on both sides of the aisle.
Yes.
Those are the people transforming this state. And they want to transform this state because it really is true that as goes California, so goes the nation. And we are the blueprint. And if we don't fight back and stop them, this will then export to all of the other states. If you have people that you care about in other states, warn them that the battle is coming to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the foundation truth is that the cornerstone of government for and by the people is fair and honest elections, protected by integrity and absolutely transparent. Okay, so that public oversight is vital, and that's what we do. We are the oversight. We are there when they're counting ballots. We are there when they are duplicating ballots. We are there when they are casting ballots at the polls. Because eyes on the process keeps the thing in check. Okay? And that makes it transparent. But to transform a state, you just have to transform the electoral process. And that's what's been going on. Okay? You create an elaborate illusion to allow citizens to believe that they're actually making the decisions by voting. But notice what Joseph Stalin said. It is enough that the people know there was an election. And that's what they're doing to us. We're participating in an election thinking it's really an election. And the reality is, not so much. Okay? The blueprint basically has 4 bullet points. Try to memorize these because they'll come up as I go along. They want to put time and distance between you and your ballot and between your ballot submission and the election results. Mm-hmm. So they're creating ways for you to vote and periods of time for you to vote that are so lengthy that you vote here, and by the time they've got the results, you've gone on with your life and you don't even know who won and what the laws are now anymore. Okay, you participated, that was enough, you got a few major results on election night, but you have no idea how that election ultimately turned out because they put 60 days between your vote and the results. Mm-hmm. Okay, they want to diminish our perception of the preciousness and sacredness of our ballot. Now, I love the postal system. I'm amazed at what they can do. I think it's the most incredible thing in the world how almost everything gets where it's going. But if I had a $10,000 diamond ring, I would not put it in the U.S. Postal Service. How valuable is your ballot to you? How valuable is your voice? Is it so precious to you that you will not surrender it to the Postal Service? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but some of you in this room are doing exactly that. And they want us to, and they beg us to, and they cajole us to, and they force us to, because they want us to kind of forget about how precious that ballot is. Okay? They want to numb us to the inevitability that there will be no restrictions on who can vote by incrementally making it not only possible but probable that other than citizens will be casting votes and making the choices for us. Slowly, they're getting us used to that. Okay? And the last thing is, obviously, they're diluting the votes of the legitimate citizen by having people who should not be voting vote. And so we completely lose the constitutional and federal requirements for legitimate voting. California, like every other state in the nation, in order to become a state, had to say that they would guarantee to its populace at all times and forever what? What form of government? A republican form of government. In other words, we have to act as a republic. Those words are in every constitution of all 50 states because it was part of the requirement to become a state. Do you know within the last 2 years that statement quietly disappeared from the California Constitution? It's no longer there. Okay, so that weight is being upheld by 4 pillars that are just smashing we the people at the bottom down so that we cannot move. That first pillar is voter roll mismanagement. Anybody heard anything about that? Mm-hmm. The voter rolls just got garbage all in them, and then all these people that shouldn't be there are there, and many people are there 2, 3, 4, 6 times. Okay. Our media release last summer said that after all of our careful research, and we have a tremendous data team, and they are so careful that we are always at least 98% accurate in what we allege. So notice that our numbers are very conservative for that reason. 8 California counties have more people on their voter rolls than eligible citizens living in that county. Okay? Significant numbers of deceased, duplicates, inactive voters are still on the active as well as the inactive voter lists, which is why the math turns out the way that it does. Okay? As a result of all that hard work, we were contacted by Judicial Watch right after that media release, and they said, let's do something about this. Finally, at a national level, okay? They did their own research. They're not as careful with numbers as we are. They have now alleged there are 11 counties in that condition. My own county of San Diego leads the way. Judicial Watch says we have 144%. Wow. Okay? LA is second with 136%. And that represents a lot of people when you're talking about LA. Okay? So, they have sent a letter of a violation to those 11 counties and to the Secretary of State, indicating that they need to clean up their voter rolls because of the NVRA, and if they don't, that there will be legal action taken against them. All 11 counties and the Secretary of State have basically said, go fly a kite, and sometime between today and the end of this month, those 90 days run out. So we can hope that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should hear something from Judicial Watch in terms of an actual legal action against those counties and California. Because if we can clean up our voter rolls, even partially, before 2018, we have a better chance of electing the people we want to elect. Yep. Okay. The second pillar there is legislation, and this will be the longest part of my my diatribe here, because this is how they've incrementally changed our elections, okay? This is only a partial list, and one of the major handouts that I'm going to email you goes through a much more complete list of the progression of legislation that's happened. The federal legislation of 1993, the National Voter Registration Act, required all states to maintain their lists, keep them clean, okay? But it also connected, I lost this. It also connected voter registration to government services like the Department of Motor Vehicles, Social Security, welfare offices, both federal and state. When it did that, there was no state at that point that was making any noise about issuing driver's licenses or ID cards to other than citizens. Now that every state does that, those non-citizens have a direct pipeline to registering to vote, because our state, unlike other states, did not create the firewall between the voter rolls and the non-citizens. Okay? We're out of compliance with that. In 1998, California saw fit to eliminate voter ID. We had voter ID up until 1998. And then both parties up there in Sacramento decided, we don't need that. Okay? At the same time, they also saw fit to do away with the absentee ballot, which is a very important protection for people who have no other way to vote. Instead, they said, let's just let everybody vote by mail if they want to. Mm-hmm. And then we'll take the next 19 years to slowly, through an ad campaign and through pressure and through everything else, to convince people that it's safe, that it's convenient, that it's easy, that it's a better way to vote, and we fell for it. We fell for it. 2 presidential commissions have come to the conclusion that the mail ballot is the #1 tool for fraud in the United States. And we don't listen. And we go, oh, no, I'll just vote by mail. And even if you do get your ballot, and even if you don't put it in the mail, even if you turn it in directly to the registrar, do you know how many hands and days and manipulations it goes through before they may or may not decide to open it and count it? At which point, they might decide, oh, there's a wrinkle in it. It won't go through the machine. We will, what they call, remake your ballot.
Yep. I've seen
You
that.
trust those people to remake your ballot the way you originally made your ballot?
I've seen that.
Okay. There's just too big a risk to vote that way en masse. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm asking that you reconsider, if you are a mail ballot person who doesn't have to be,
I never did.
that you reconsider the way that you choose to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We also, as of 2002, with the Help America Vote Act, we took the idea of the provisional ballot, which is also a really big protection for people who otherwise would be disenfranchised unfairly. And California made it a, woo, let's hand it out like candy on Halloween. No other state can even begin to fathom what we do with provisional ballots. And I will tell you that they are the #1 tool for fraud in California as a result. And California has this growing mountain of provisional ballots because it is encouraged by all the elections officials, right? A growing number. In 2012, California accounted for 40% of all provisional ballots nationwide. In 2016, 60%. And there were places, even Judicial Watch, that published articles saying, I think maybe we should reconsider whether we're going to accept California's electoral college votes, because they don't have a system they're in control of. And since they have 55 votes, that impacts all the rest of the states. So other states are paying attention to what's happened here in California.
Good.
So remind you again, the blueprint of putting time to distance and diminishing the preciousness, that's what I'm just talking about, okay? Then in 2013, they decided it would be okay for non-citizens to work the polls and hold your ballot and do stuff with your ballot. They also decided that the voter rolls didn't have to have your birthplace anymore. That's an important marker to be able to find out who's a duplicate, who's deceased. You need several markers so we're not removing the wrong people. And they just said, no, we don't need that anymore. And the reason it is because EIP pointed out how many voter registrations were already in there without the birthplace, which is mandated by law. And they were allowing those people to vote anyway. So instead of fixing the problem, they just legislated it out of existence and said, no, it's okay. All right? In 2014, they started issuing those driver's licenses we talked about. Then they decided 29 days isn't long enough for you to return your vote by mail ballot, so we're going to add 3 more days to that. So now your ballot can arrive up to 3 days late and still be counted. The worst part of that is that the law says it has to be postmarked by election day. However, if you can't read the postmark, or if it's not there, then we'll just go by the date the voter put on the inside of the envelope. But you can put any date you want. So what does that say? You harvest a bunch of ballots, you sit there election night, you find out which races are close enough to be manipulated with a few extra ballots, you fill them out, and you get them turned in up to 3 days late, and you change an election, okay? And they also cleared counties like mine to start having all vote by mail ballot elections with special elections. And I know why they want to do that. For small elections with low voter turnout, it is economically much better. But you know, the cost of an election is the cost of freedom. Okay? So notice how those things numb us to the inevitability or have restrictions, no restrictions on who can vote, because now our non-citizens have a pipeline and our votes are being diluted as a result. In 2015, now the biggies. Now they decided we don't have an opt-in system anymore, it's an opt-out system. So when you interact with the DMV for any reason whatsoever, you're automatically registered to vote. And in order to not be registered to vote, you have to proactively fill out say, don't register me. And even then, the Secretary of State will contact you and say, no, wait a minute, are you sure? What does that do for non-citizens who may have challenges with the English language, not know the rules, not be able to read the paperwork appropriately, not understand that they are being registered to vote? Who does that hurt the worst? It hurts. Okay, were you having trouble hearing me?
No.
Now,
I just want to extreme voice.
I have a nice teacher.
I wanted to go,
I
I wanted to
appreciate
go
that.
easy on your voice.
I do have a teacher voice. I can talk all day. I taught high school for 34 years.
God bless you.
And I
Yes.
loved every second of it. It was great. Okay. So where was I? we are hurting with this law the people who have come here the right way because they want to become good American citizens. Because many of them are getting registered to vote and they don't even know that. And I have talked to many of them because as I go around and canvass for candidates, I will say, oh, are you so-and-so? I'd like to talk to you about my candidate. And they'll say, oh, well, I'm not a citizen. I can't vote. And I'm looking at a voter history where they voted in the last 5 elections. They don't even know they're on the list.
Wow.
And I hear that same story from others as well, but that happened to me personally. Okay? So what happens? These people don't even know someone is voting in their stead, has registered them without their knowledge, and now it's easier because of that DMV thing. And when it comes time, and the California legislators knew, they knew that lots of people who shouldn't be on the rolls would get on the rolls in this fashion. And they knew it enough that they put wording language in the bill that admitted they knew people were going to get on the rolls by mistake. And so they said, and so if somebody does get on the rolls by mistake, even if they take advantage of that and vote, by order of this piece of legislation, we can't hold them accountable for that. We cannot, bring them up on charges of voter fraud or registration fraud or anything else. So they knew what happened, and then they just did a hold harmless clause in the law. But the federal government's not going to hold them harmless. These people who are being manipulated, once they complete all the other requirements for citizenship, and they go and they apply, the federal government is going to do the research, they're going to, oh, you're in the voter rolls. That's a felony, dude. Not only don't you get your citizenship, you get deported. We're hurting the people we want here the most with that law. Okay? They also decided that if you turn in your vote by mail ballot and there's something they don't like about what's on the outside of the envelope, you forget to sign it, you put your P.O. box instead of the correct address and all that kind of stuff, now they have to contact you. You have 8 days after Election Day to come in and fix it. Or you can fix it online by simply filling out a form that says, oh, well, I really meant to sign my ballot. Go ahead and sign it for me. Okay. Where is individual responsibility in this state? Then, in 2016, they decided you don't even have to turn in your ballot in the county that it's intended for, or that issued it to you. Now you can be anywhere you want to and turn in any number of ballots you want to in another county, which puts more and more and more and more burden on these election officials who are trying desperately to get these votes counted. Now they have to go through the ballots, they've defined the foreign ones, they have to forward them to the new county, to the county where they can be counted. Okay? And several other pieces of legislation enabled or legalized ballot harvesting, voter intimidation, vote selling. And I can go through those with you if you want me to, because they're horrible. Okay, and then they certified the statewide voter database, which we were 14 years out of compliance with the federal law in doing that, the only state in the nation. When we finally got one, because of the pressure in the last SOS election, it was certified way before it was ready. And as a result, we're seeing evidence that it was used as a manipulation factor in the 2016 election in California. Now, take a look at this slide, because this shows you, the top part is this is what the voting season looked like before those last few laws I just talked to you about, okay? We had 29 days pre-election. Vote by mail ballots were mailed out 29 days before. You could go in anytime during that time and turn in your ballot, mail in your ballot, or show up and vote in person. And when you show up and early vote, that's just casting an in-person vote by mail ballot. You put it in the same envelope, it goes through the same process. And then there was a drop-dead election date. The vote by mails had to be received by that time, etc. And then about half of the 30 days that they have after election day to process the ballots, half of that time was spent finishing the vote by mail ballots that came in at the last minute and came in on election day, because a lot of people are at least wising up and turning them in on election day at the polls rather than some other way that's less safe. And then they had all of those provisional ballots. Remember, we said that we have a growing number of those, but they had about 2 weeks to process those, to verify whether they should be or shouldn't be accepted, whether they were cast by legitimate voters, etc. Now, with all those extensions and whatnot, look at what has happened. This is pretty much the same, but now we have an election day. But oh no, we don't, because now we've got 3 more days to turn in these ballots. We've got 8 more days for the ones that were turned in elsewhere to be forwarded, and so that greatly extends by another week and a half at least the amount of time that ROVs have to spend with vote by mail ballots before they can touch the provisionals. So we have a mountain of growing provisional ballots and a diminishing period of time for them to be processed, which means it's going to be sloppy, they're going to run out of time, and they're going to just start passing things through that should never be counted, okay? It's orchestrated, people. It is orchestrated to be that way. Okay, then in 2016, they also thought it would be a great idea to move a large number of felonies from the prison system into the county jail system, and then give all felons incarcerated in county jails the right to vote, which is really going to flip some communities. These people who aren't even part of your community, but their address right now is your community, and they're going to be voting in your community about a community they don't care about and are not part of because you have a jail in your community. Then they passed SB 450, and that's going to be one of the handouts you will want to look at the most carefully, because that is like the cherry on top of the whipped cream on top of the sundae. That pretty much finishes the deal. And right now, it's county by county choice. Counties will be making a choice to accept this form of voting or not, county by county. But I can see the campaign already is deceptive. It's horrible. They are pushing these counties to accept it. And I know that Alex Padilla, our Secretary of State, wants this badly enough that he will be able, if he's not getting voluntary participation by the counties, he will be able to get the legislature to pass another law to make it mandatory.
Oh, great.
Absolutely count on that, okay?
Jeez.
And what that does is turn your county into an all vote by mail county whether you want to or not. Now, put that together with the chaos in the voter rolls, and you've got scads of ballots being mailed out to people who don't exist, to addresses that don't exist. Every one of those ballots is harvestable and can be turned in and counted. So yeah, that's election manipulation. So you need to stop your county from going to the vote center model. You absolutely have to learn what that is, learn to call them on their deception when they say, oh, well, here's all the wonderful stuff about it. And you go, yeah, but, and then help point out what's wrong with it. Luckily, Orange County was one of the pilot counties that had the first chance to make that choice, and the Board of Supervisors said, no, we think there'll be a lot of fraud. So they said no. At least right now they said no. Hopefully other counties will do the same. Joseph Stalin also said, those who cast the votes decide nothing. The people who count the votes decide everything.
Yep.
So when you have all vote by mail, it's no longer cast a paper ballot, go in a secure box. That secure box goes to the counting machine. It's open and goes through the counting machine with virtually no opportunity to mess with those votes. We've gone from that now to all this big folderol of counting vote by mail ballots where you have lots and lots of opportunity to manipulate. That's why they want you to go vote by mail. Absolutely, that's the reason. Okay, and then the Secretary of State is tasked with making regulations that help to implement these laws, and one of the regulations is that he decided that if people fill out that paperwork to say, oh, I got registered by mistake, but I'm not eligible to vote, please take me off the voter rolls, they're not going to keep that information. They're going to burn it. It's gone. There will be no record, so that we can't look at it and evaluate what damage that law is doing and how do we plug those holes. He's decided, oh no, we're just going to not keep those records. That's the regulation he decided on. And then the drop boxes that are going to be around for people to just drop off their vote-by-mail ballots in convenient locations, he's allowed for them to be unattended. Sitting by the bus stop, sitting by what? Unattended? Really? Your votes? Okay. All right. The third column is election procedures, and that's where many of you may have helped us get documentation. We have found that not only don't they maintain the voter rolls as they're supposed to, and notice that up until these last couple of years, the election code in California was very, very good. If it had been followed, we'd have had some pretty good integrity. But then the next thing, while they were getting their other plan in place, was simply not follow those laws. So they have very poor poll worker training. So the poll workers are out there doing the very best they can, and they really want to do a good job and have a fair and honest election, but they're not given the right rules. They don't know that they might make this decision, do this, because it seems logical to them, and they won't know that they're putting votes at risk. Okay? And they're not taught that. We ignore the limitations of what the provisional ballot is supposed to do. We don't verify identity. When we said no ID, at least you're supposed to go and state your name and address out loud and have it stated back to you. But throughout the entire state, they were just ignoring that. So you could show up with a piece of paper with a name and address on it, just hand it over, not say a single word. We watched that happen over and over. You know, just a torn piece of paper that they were handing out to people to here, go vote in that name. Not a word exchanged anywhere, and those votes and those ballots got stolen. They, in this last election, the big deal was subverting voter privacy. Again, how precious is your vote to you? And if you are living in a community or in a home where someone is oppressing you or intimidating you, and you show up to the polls because there are 4 distinct election codes that mandate that you have to vote alone in the privacy of a booth or compartment, and they say, oh no, just sit down at a table and vote. And that was happening statewide in 2016. And so you are able to see what she's voting, and he's voting, and she's voting, and if anyone at this table is someone that somebody else at this table is a little afraid of, if you live in a community where most of the community votes lockstep and you want to buck that with your own vote, and you're sitting there with all your neighbors seeing how you're marking your ballot, do you dare? You could be putting yourself at great physical risk. So what we have done is we've silenced the voices of the weakest among us. If your home gets 4 or 5 vote-by-mail ballots mailed to it, because there's that many voters living there, and one person is domineering, then how many votes does that person get? All 4 or 5. The other people don't get their voice, because they're not the protection of the law anymore, because we thought it'd be a good idea just to send it to the home and let people just, you know, vote anybody wants to. When you put that together with the number of people coming in from foreign cultures where there is that culture of the one person domineering the rest of the people in the family who do not understand the voice of American democratic process, who are we not protecting? Okay? And then there was just outright lawlessness, and your hair would, you know, stand on end if I told you some of those stories. So in August, Landmark Legal Foundation, which is Mark Levin's group, came to us and said, what else do you have? And now we have a client attorney signed and sealed contract with them. And they are looking at the rest of our documentation and our data research. They're looking particularly for civil rights violations and criminal things. And so we are hoping there will be something come out of that relationship as well, to call into question and make very public what's going on in California so we can reverse it. In the meantime, we absolutely need more documentation. We need more boots on the ground, more eyes watching all pieces of the process to make sure that things are getting cleaned up, okay? And so that last pillar is that all of that then comes back on you, because you have officials you can't control, you can't vote out, and so what happens? You lose your property rights, your parental rights, your educational rights, your electoral rights. You lose protection from foreign nationals who are here because of HB1 visas taking your jobs away. Unfair business practices. Do you know that an American business owner has to follow different sets of requirements than someone who owns a business and is not an American citizen? Theirs is much easier in California. And so you don't even have equality in business because of the situation. Cartels are taking over large parts of our state. That's why the northern part of the state wants to secede. And, of course, you all know about the new sanctuary state law. Okay. We've also lost our recall rights, and I won't even go through that. But we've just really lost our rights because we can't vote them out. We can make that change. We can stop this fundamental transformation, okay? You've seen the red pill. Okay, you've seen the man behind the curtain. Now I hope you're angry and educated. And I hope you're eager to read those handouts. But I hope you're also energized, mobilized, and ready to get busy, because every single person in this room can do something to reverse this process. Okay? What can you do to make a difference? Well, first of all, make sure you're voting safely. Educate yourself and protect your own vote. Secondly, sign up for our EIPCA emails, because, and we do not inundate you, my goodness, some of you are on our list and you're wondering if you're still there, because we don't send you stuff very often. But when there's something you need to be educated about, we do. And so we hope you will receive our emails and forward them out when they appear to be important to you and other people that need to see them. But join us. Going to the polls once every 2 years is not self-governance. Day-by-day control of your elected officials is self-governance. And that's part of what we are doing on a day-by-day basis, and we need you to join us, okay? If you fill out that card, the top part of it with your information, you will receive valuable handouts by email. You will get an invitation to get onto our email list. And you will have to say, yes, join me. It won't be automatic. But you'll get an invitation to click here. You will receive notification when election season observation training is available where you live. That's why I need to have, your zip code and your county and that kind of stuff, so that we can tell you when there's going to be training, not only for election day observation, but election season observation at the registrar's office and all of that other stuff that has to be observed, okay? And then at the bottom of the card is another opportunity to tell me specifically where you think you might possibly be of